Okay, so I've done a few battery drain tests before, but this one's a tiny bit different because I'm going to test out literally the best smartphones that you can get right now. So welcome to the ultimate battery drain test between the iPhone X, the Google Pixel 2 XL, the OnePlus 5T, the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus, and the iPhone 8 Plus. So grab some popcorn and let's see which one has the best battery life overall. Now, before starting this test, I just want to mention a few adjustments that I made to keep all things fair. So first off, airplane mode is turned on all of these devices. Then I've also turned off Bluetooth and cellular. Wi-Fi is turned on. Do not disturb mode is turned on. Silent is on. Brightness is the same level, about the same level on all. Keep in mind that they all have different light output, and I've tried adjusting the brightness to a similar level on all of these smartphones. Then in terms of auto brightness, this is actually off on all of them. And then True Tone Display is off on the iPhones. And then Screen Auto Lock is off on the iPhones. And I've actually installed a tweak to be able to do this on the Android devices. Then I've also closed all the apps running in the background. And yes, all of these phones and all of their apps are up to date. And they all started with 100% battery life. But while I was setting this up and doing all these shots, the battery life actually dropped to 99% on the OnePlus 5T and 98% on the S8 Plus, but the rest were all at 100%. Now, there are two major things that you should keep in mind. So the first one is that all of these phones have a different battery capacity. So the iPhone X has a 2716 mAh battery, the Google Pixel 2 XL has 3520, the OnePlus 5T has 3300, the S8 Plus has 3500, and then the iPhone 8 Plus has 2691. So essentially, judging from the battery size alone, the Pixel 2 XL should last the longest, and the iPhone 8 Plus should die first. And then second, they all have a different display resolution. So the iPhone X has 2436 by 1125, the Google Pixel 2 XL has 2880 by 1440, the OnePlus 5T has 2160 by 1080, the S8 Plus has 2960 by 1440, and then the iPhone 8 Plus has 1920 by 1080. So the S8's display consumes the most amount of power, while the iPhone 8 Plus's display consumes the least amount of power. But let's see how all of these affect the actual battery life. And for the battery drain test, I'm going to test 5 different categories of things you normally do on your smartphone on a daily basis. And that's a reading test first. So this is the first thing that I'm going to test. Whether you're reading news on your smartphone, your newsfeed, your messages or emails, that's essentially keeping the display on and reading some text off of it. So this is the first test that I'm going to do, followed by a camera test, then a standby time test to see which phone has a more efficient standby mode, followed by some YouTube videos, and finally some gaming, which is the equivalent of some demanding apps that some of you might be using on a daily basis. Okay, so starting off with the reading test first, I'm going to open up the BBC News app, and I'm going to open up this article with the Queen, and I'm going to leave it open for exactly 2 hours. Now, 2 hours is mostly the amount of time people read on their smartphones daily. Some people read more than 2 hours, but I'm going to be addressing that in the next tests. Okay, so the timer has started, and I'm going to fast forward all this, and then 2 hours later, and these are the final results. So the iPhone X dropped to 83%, Pixel 2 XL 82%, OnePlus 5T 82%, Galaxy S8 Plus 80%, and then the iPhone 8 Plus 84%. So it seems that the iPhone 8 Plus is currently in the lead, while the S8 Plus is currently doing the worst. Now moving on to the camera test, this is the next test that I'm going to do. So I'm going to record a 10-minute clip in 4K 30 frames per second on all of these phones. Now why 10 minutes? Well, that's because the S8 Plus is actually limited to just 10 minutes of recording. You cannot record more than 10 minutes. And then also because 10 minutes is probably the maximum amount of time most people will be using the camera app for photos or videos on a daily basis. Okay, so the timer has started, and let me just fast forward all this, and then 10 minutes later, and these are the results. So iPhone X 78%, Google Pixel 2 XL 73%, OnePlus 5T 76%, Galaxy S8 Plus 74%, and then the iPhone 8 Plus 77%. So it seems that the iPhone X took the lead now, and the Pixel 2 XL is doing the worst now. So quite a big of a change, to be honest, in the second test. But now, while I was transferring the footage from my SD card because it was obviously full, I wanted to do a 1 hour standby time test just to see how much battery would these phones lose in 1 hour of standby time. So actually, standby is a crucial test as we never keep our smartphones on all day. I mean, pretty much standby is most amount of stuff that you will do on a smartphone daily. keeping it off, essentially. Okay, and 1 hour later, and these are the results. So iPhone 10 dropped from 78 to 75%, so a 3% loss. The Google Pixel 2 XL dropped from 73 to 72%, so a 1% loss. The OnePlus 5T dropped from 76 to 75, so a 1% loss. The S8 Plus dropped from 74 to 73, so also a 1% loss. And then the iPhone 7 Plus and the iPhone 8 Plus from 77 from 76%, so also a 1% drop. So some very interesting results here. All smartphones lost just 1% battery in 1 hour of standby, apart from the iPhone 10, which actually lost 3%. So this is what's really interesting, the fact that 4 smartphones lost just 1% in 1 hour of standby. Really interesting and intriguing. Anyway, moving on to the next test, I'm going to do a YouTube test. So most people watch videos, I mean pretty much everyone watches at least a video on their smartphones every single day. So I'm going to do a YouTube test. I'm actually going to open up my Ultimate Camera Comparisons playlist. Definitely give this one a watch if you want to see the most detailed camera comparisons between different smartphones. And I'm going to leave this thing playing for exactly 1 hour. So 1 hour might seem a lot when it comes to video playback, but some people watch 1 hour or some even more of video content on their smartphones daily. And the timer has started, and I'm going to fast forward all this, and then 1 hour later, and these are the final results. So iPhone 10, 58%, Google Pixel 2 XL, 55%, OnePlus 5T, 63%, S8 Plus, 54%, and iPhone 8 Plus also 54%. So all smartphones actually dropped 20%, about 20% battery. The OnePlus 5T is in the lead with 63%, while the iPhone 8 Plus and the Galaxy S8 Plus are actually doing the worst, with both at 54%. And now the final test, let's see which one is going to win. Is it the 5T, the iPhone 8 Plus, or maybe, just maybe, the S8 Plus? So I've actually opened up the Temple Run 2 app, the game, which can actually play continuously if you leave it in tutorial mode. And I'm going to leave it running on all of these phones for exactly 1 hour and see how the battery levels actually drop. So, okay, the timer has started. So let me just fast forward through all this, and 1 hour later, and these are the results. So iPhone 10, 39%, Google Pixel 2 XL, 38%, OnePlus 5T, 50%, S8 Plus, 39%, and then the iPhone 8 Plus, 32%. So there we go, the OnePlus 5T actually won with 50% battery left, and the iPhone 8 Plus did the worst at 32% currently. So thank you for watching. Just joking. I'm obviously not going to end this video here. I just want to do one more test. I essentially want to kill those phones. I want to see which one dies first. I'm not going to destroy them, obviously, but I'm going to discharge them. So I've maxed the brightness on all of these phones, and I'm going to run all the GFX benchmarks that you can do. So that's about 20 different tests, even more than 20. And this will take about 20 minutes for all of them to complete, possibly even more. And essentially it's exactly the same test on all of these smartphones, but let's see which one is going to die first. Okay, so 1 hour and 5 minutes later into the benchmarks, and the first one to die is, as expected, the iPhone 8 Plus. So this one had the lowest amount of battery left after the gaming test. Oh, it seems that I actually got a testing server error since I was running so many GFX benchmarks. Whoops. Now the second phone to die should be the Pixel 2 XL, right? But it actually wasn't. In fact, 1 hour and 25 minutes later, the iPhone 10 died. Really interesting. And all the others are now at 1%, by the way, for the S8, 7% on the OnePlus 5T, and 9% for the Pixel 2 XL. And interesting enough, by the way, the S8 Plus was at 1% for the past 30 minutes. I'm not even joking, 1% for at least 30 minutes. So yeah, quite surprising. And by the way, 3 minutes later, the S8 Plus has died as well, with the total time of 1 hour and 28 minutes into the benchmarks. So now the final battle is between the OnePlus 5T and the Google Pixel 2 XL. So the 5T is currently at 5% battery, while the Pixel 2 XL is now at 7%. And at about the 1 hour and 41 minutes mark, the OnePlus 5T actually died, leaving the Pixel 2 XL to keep running benchmarks. And fun fact, the Pixel 2 XL died almost 30 minutes later, with a total time for all of these tests of more than 7 hours. So, wow, interesting results. I wasn't expecting the Pixel 2 XL to win, but there we go, the Pixel 2 XL out of all of these phones has the best battery life. I was actually expecting the S8 Plus to lose first, and the iPhone 8 Plus to win, because, you know, it has the lowest resolution display, and the Apple 11 chip is really well optimized, but the results were quite different, completely unexpected. But wow, this was a pretty interesting video to record, and also a really long video to record. It took Took more than 15 hours, by the way, from start to finish, close to 20. So if you have enjoyed this video, a like would be really appreciated. And also, if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. I do a lot of in-depth tech videos, so if you want to see a lot of cool, interesting, in-depth tech videos, definitely subscribe to the channel. And also enable notifications by tapping on the bell icon so that you get notified as soon as a brand new, cool, in-depth tech video comes out. But yeah, other than that, this has been pretty much it. Let me know in the comments, by the way. I'm really curious to know which phone out of all the smartphones that you've used had the best battery life overall. But yeah, this has been pretty much it. So thank you for watching. I'm Daniel. I'll see you guys in my next one. Zen of Tech, signing out. Cheers.